I heard that Oscar Mayer is wanting to come out with a a non-meat hot dog this summer.
Ew.
Who would eat a hot dog filled with grass?
First of all, non-meat hot dog. What you're supposed to eat is a hot dog that has all of the type of meats, to include the toenails.
Well, ironically, I've had the opportunity to see some hot dog machines, and typically the carcass and the meat and everything goes in there, including the bones and everything, and it's all ground up with spices. Hey, don't get upset, people. That's the way they've always been made, so don't stop liking them now. It's a great source.
Yeah.
And who wants to, they probably won't even use a real intestine for the skin. It'll probably be some type of man-made, because they do have what is it, keratin or gelatin, the stuff that they make jello with. What is that called?
Yep.
That stuff, keratin. They make hot dog sleeves for that, and then they're going to shove it full of grass and clover and call that a hot dog? I think not.
Yeah, so I was walking by the frozen vegetables section today.
Yeah.
And they have the meats and everything, and they have the things that say beef substitute, and tells you all the different things, but they're like patties and like different things that people do. And I'll never understand why somebody wants a patty made of beans.
I've never watched Parks and Recreation, even though it looks like I should go back and watch it, because I like several of the characters on it. But there's one episode that I saw on YouTube where
the bacon.
Yeah. Would you like some, what is it, non-meat bacon or whatever? Yes, please.
Non-meat bacon.
Yes, please.
I'll have another, please.
Throws it in the trash. And then he's like, I'm not going to give you any more. And then the girl says, I would like one. Are you going to throw it in the trash? I would like one. And then she throws it in the trash. So that's what we think of grass, clover, stuffed hot dogs. That's what we think.
3, 2, 1, 0.
You're listening to the Knives Templars.
I got a piece off of the wagon that Sam Houston used to take JFK to the moon.
Pinto sauce. I like that. Pinto sauce.
Pinto sauce. You're tuned in to the Knives Templars podcast, featuring Yodacir Special Sauce Pinto.
I was a mean kid.
Long time listener, first time caller.
Eric T.R.E. Rivers.
Holy crap, I built something.
Mark Vasallo.
There would be a lot of places I would launch myself to.
Chip Shegman Carlisle. We've had a raccoon come through the screen door down in the family room. And presenting the individual creative stylings of Jason Fry.
Yeah, I've been just been doing what we do, drinking a glass of sweet tea.
And now broadcasting across planet Earth, it's the Knives Templars, coming to you live from Forkhouse Studios located in Hartselle, Alabama. This is the Knives Templars podcast. We are on air, on demand, and heard worldwide in all of your favorite apps and at theknivestemplars.com.
Yeah, that last .com, I kind of lost my my .com. I was like, I just crashed and burned on that one. Yeah, hey, I just made a new opening and I had to alter it, but I've got some exciting news, some very exciting news. Our good friends, Joey Terrio and Don Watson, have branched out to form their own podcast. And guys, anybody know what the podcast is called?
Crafted
Edge.
The Crafted Edge. And they're teaming up with a fellow out of Louisiana who's an excellent knife maker. And they will be doing a podcast. And Eric, I believe if you told me they're going to be doing something along the lines of like how we did the Maker's Mark and doing lots of interviews in the community and teaching knife making. So guys, they always said, you know, as a manager, I always said, hey, if you ever run away, I'll be sad. But if you ever have an inspiration and you go off to make more money or have a great new opportunity, this, that, and the other, hey, I could not be happier for you. Matter of fact, what's everybody think about that? Exactly. Little can clapping there because you can't see us clapping. But hey, Don, Joey, we wish you the best. And please come back on the podcast sometime and let us know how you're doing, as past podcasters do. Hey, guys, this is Chip Carlisle, and I want you to settle in on our new episode of the Knives Templars. We are the best podcast. Sorry, Crafted Edge, to teach rising and established makers like you how to pave your way into knife making as a hobby or a business. Matter of fact, we may even talk a little bit about business tonight as Eric's moving on into his. But, we can be heard in over 40-something countries now. I just quit counting. And we want to welcome you to Season 6, Episode 53. We are over 2 years into this and still having a blast going strong. And we thank you for your listenership and making us the best rising podcast on this planet. Matter of fact, while you're listening, look at your device you're listening on, whether it's your computer, your phone, your tablet, or something else, and hit subscribe so you get alerts when we're going to come back on the air. Guys, you've been out to knivestemplars.com.
Of course.
We have.
We got some exciting new stuff there. We have updated the site with our current lineup, but also want to welcome Broadbeck Ironworks to our show. As everybody has probably heard in the past, that we do not charge. So when you say we have sponsors, it's because we support each other. Maybe it's supporters is a better word, but they sponsor the show through good things to say about us, listening and encouraging people. And we believe that if we believe in a product, we're going to get it out there. So in discussions with Mr. Ryan Broadbeck this week, I do want you to know that we have added them to the lineup. And, well, I guess I can just tell you a little bit more about them, because if you go to broadbeckironworks.com, they have one of the most versatile 2x72 grinders on the market. They build, they will send you a unit that you can build on your own, fully assembled and painted. Their 2x72 is easy to assemble. It bolts together, has the capability to run belt vertically and horizontally with little changeover time. If you're just starting out as a shop and looking to expand your current, or I should say, looking to expand your current grinder capabilities, look no further. They also offer a full lineup from chassis to fully variable speed machines to attachments galore. You can find the Morocco Platin over there and some of the other add-ons that they have. So with that being said, am I a Broadbeck Ironworks grinder user? I am, because at my knife guild, and that's the Alabama Custom Knife Makers guild, we have a Broadbeck grinder there, and I've used some friends, and they are wonderful grinders. I use another brand. It's my favorite. It's my tank, and I'm loyal to it. But you know what? Ryan Broadbeck makes one half a great machine. So we've got options, and we want to promote that. Eric.
Yep. So with him saying that as well, we've talked to the different vendors that we support, that are friends of the podcast. And it's really cool that we have an awesome community where, those guys, we also talk about Ameribraid. They've been with us for a long time. And those two wonderful 2x72 makers, they have no issue with being both parts of the podcast and everything. And I think that's awesome that, we just want to share the wealth of everything that people just create for the actual knife making community. And we also talk about Brown House, which we'll probably hit on in a little bit, but there's a lot of people that make 2x72s, and we just want to bring those different options to the forefront and give y'all, the ideas of things to look at so that you can make a decision based on what you think fits your need the best.
Which is
really cool.
That's really what we're about, and hopefully that our website. Matter of fact, we've loaded up some additional video this week on some knife making tips and some things that are out there. Matter of fact, I did a box opening from TR Maker, and if you want to see that, head over there on the new not Forge, but the triaxle knife vise they've got, and another great machine, and you can see me open it up. I'm actually using it for the first time this week and just having a blast with it. So like I said, there's so many great products out there that we enjoy being able to offer these up, and all of the people that support our podcast, we make sure that they know that we speak about different brands. I'm going to tell you every day of the week, I'm going to go out and buy an Ameribraid machine. But I will tell you, when I've used a Broadbeck, I've been tickled to death with it. I just went with Ameribraid and for certain reasons, and I love it. Matter of fact, Yodacir, what kind of grinder are you using?
Oh, I'm still rocking my old OBM.
That's right. And you're putting out some beautiful knives on it. Mark, you're using a...
I have my Ameribraid.
I knew that. You've got a Mastery, don't you? Yeah, go ahead, Yodacir.
However, when I'm able to jump on a new grinder, I'm jumping on a Broadbeck. Not only I like the way they look, but they, I think they're in Mount Airy, which is close to me, right? And they have, I think, 3 or 4 of their grinders at the Bill Moran Foundation. I think they donated to the Bill Moran Foundation. So, it's, right next to me, right next door is something that I'm familiar with. So, yeah.
Well, when you go there for any parts and accessories, put in Templars 10 at discount at broadbeckironworks.com and enjoy your 10% off parts and accessories. If you're going to buy a full machine, be sure and give Ryan a call
20.
or Vince. I don't know about that. They got a Templars 10. You can put Templars 99 in there if you want and see if it'll get you anywhere. But I know Templars 10 will.
Give it a try.
But on a full machine, that does not apply to that. But I would call them and see how they can work with you on it, because it's wonderful. Those guys are always willing to do that. The only time Templars 10 will not work if they're throwing a big sale. And Ryan did tell me, he says, hey, if we got a sale, it's going to exceed that 10%. So be sure and, wait for a sale. But if you can't wait, jump right in and do Templars 10. Now, keep in mind, they sell a full line. They sell belts, all the accessories, the sharpening machine. What is the sharpener called? I hate to do that here first on the air, but you just go out to broadbeckironworks.com and see everything they offer.
The Sharpenator 3000.
Yeah, that sounds good. Is that it?
No, but it's a good name. Let's go with that.
Yodacir, you should have been in marketing.
Yeah, right.
You should have. Everything I made early on that I was making all my little tools, I called them the Shegman whatever. So I had the Shegman OU812 was something. The Shegman 5000 was my Trolsky inspired 2x4 grinding jig with the bolts in it and a piece of 2x4. I called that the Shegman 5000. The Shegman OU812, I believe, was my forge that I first made, the wood burning forge. So just want to make sure people know they're copyrighted. Don't steal those names. So welcome to the show, Broadbeck guys. Go out and take care of getting your Templars 10 discount if you're a Broadbeck user, and we are tickled to be working with them. They're wonderful guys. Yeah, Mark.
Hey, so while we're talking about the grinders, so I have a question. I don't know if you guys know offhand. So are the grinders compatible, right? Can you buy an accessory for a Broadbeck, like a dual arm Broadbeck, not the kind that bolts onto the single arm, but can you buy an accessory, wheel or small wheel attachment or something, and then, put that on a Ameribraid or go the other way?
Go ahead, Yodacir.
Yeah, I bought a fuller attachment from Broadbeck, which also serves as a waterfall, more or less, right? Mm-hmm. And is compatible with my OBM. I guess the main difference there would be the tooling arm, and being 1.5 inches, it fits perfectly with my OBM. So.
Oh yeah, so Ameribraid's 2 inches.
That is correct.
It's also the size of the threading in the screw holes or the bolt holes. Like if something's going to bolt to it, you got to think about that as well, because not everybody uses the same size hardware to be able to utilize the different arms. So just got to make sure it's not just size; it's also the different things that can be bolted to it. Most of those things are pretty standard, though. So a lot of them do use the same hardware.
And some of that I've asked because I was looking for some before Ameribraid had the rubber small wheels out. I talked to TR Maker. I was kind of texting back with him. And, I asked him that is like, hey, could I just buy your small wheels and put them in the Ameribraid? And he said that the bearings were a little bit different size. So it wasn't going to fit. But it seems like everybody's really happy to let you know, if it'll work and if not, how it can.
So Yodacir, the Broadbeck Ironworks Pirate Sharpening System.
Oh, okay.
Pirate Sharpening System.
You're pretty close.
Sharpenator. Right? Sharpenator's cooler.
Well, I think it was like Don used to tell me. Yeah, you're right. That was the same thing. So they also sell a full line of abrasives. They've got a leather sewing machine. What do you think they call that, Yodacir?
Oh, I wouldn't venture to guess this time.
The
Leathernator.
The Sewernator. Yeah.
The Leathernator.
They've got the Cowboy Outlaw hand-operated leather sewing machine, and then they've got the Cowboy leather sewing machine that's probably more of an electric model. Merchandise, they have banners, full zips, hooded sweatshirts, and Broadback t-shirts. Hey, we need to hit up Broadback for some t-shirts.
Yeah, Broadback makes something that I was really interested in. Would have been the rotary platen. I just don't know if I really want it, but I was really interested in there. I mean, I saw a couple of makers use it to have a perfectly flush fit in between the guard and the handle. Mm-hmm. Right. And then, shaping, what you call them, it escapes my mind right now. The, not hollow, the convex grinding and things like that.
Convexinator.
Yeah, the Convexinator 3000. So, I really like that, that platen that they have, the rotary platen.
Well, more importantly, I do see they've got sweatshirts and T-shirts. So, Yodacir, when you call to place your order, would you please hit them up for at least there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm down to 229 today, guys. I'm down 21 pounds, and awesome. It's going well, and just changing my diet. I don't know if you remember Bobo from Finding Bigfoot. I do, because I like Bigfoot, even though they never found him. Well, Bobo went from, they never found him. That should have been the name of the show, Never Finding Bigfoot. But Bobo lost all kinds of weight, and people thought, well, what in the heck is wrong with Bobo? Is he sick? And then I love paranormal stuff, so Ghost Adventures. And of course, one of the guys on Ghost Adventures, he lost a ton of weight. Just changed his diet, but everybody's like, is he dying? And while I don't look like I still look well fed, I have had a couple of people walk up, have you been sick? And I'm like, no, I'm fine. They're like, oh, you look a little gaunt. And I'm like, well, it's just.
So what's your new diet like?
Here's what I did. Margarita. And I dance to Macarena, drinking margaritas all the time.
More tequila, less beer.
Yes. Here's what it is. No, I'm a sucker for food, and I do love food.
I can tell.
Yes. So what I did is I'm eating normal size meals, and I can't speak for everybody, but our bodies adjust. Once you go back to eating a normal size meal.
What's a normal size meal to you?
Well, with my metabolism, a 6-ounce steak instead of an 18-ounce steak. And I know Eric's going, dude, I just get fat. But a 6 or 8-ounce steak, eating broccoli instead of a loaded baked potato, or eating a salad without the cheese, the dressing on the side. Get the dressing you want, just put it on the side, and don't, you find out that you start enjoying a lot of the flavors. Like when I go to Subway and get a sub or make a sub at the house, I don't get mayonnaise and mustard, and they look at you funny. No oil. And it's like, there's already enough vegetables on this sandwich that there's enough liquid in there that you're tasting the sandwich, not all the fats and everything that we also crave. Cut out a lot of the bread. I'm the type of guy that could eat a bowl of soup and crash a whole sleeve of saltines or Ritzes and put it in that bowl of soup, and then have to spoon it out like a salad rather than soup. And so I've cut out a lot of the fats. I don't eat a lot of sugars, and I don't eat a lot of bread, and I don't get rid of that, because if you get rid of it, you'll just go back to it with a passion. And I'm watching my calorie intake. So as I lose weight, right now I'm limiting myself to about 1,700 calories a day, and I seem to be dropping about 2 pounds a week doing that. So, it's not difficult. And actually, you find out that, like tonight, Nancy made pizza. And when she made a pizza, she goes, "You want one or two?" We go out and buy the pizza squares and then dress them up in the oven and make our own pizzas.
One or two, what, slices or pizzas?
Well, 2 pizzas. Okay. And I'm like, just one. And of course, one is a 8 by 8 inch square.
Okay, so that's a slice.
And she's like, of course, or 2 slices. And she said, really, just that? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. But when I eat that and you sit back for a few minutes, you're fine. You're full. And the thing is when you gorge yourself, it's in there before your mind says you're full. And then I can afford
20 minutes.
Yeah, then I can afford
you need 20 minutes.
Then I can afford a couple margaritas. It's still in the diet plan. I don't drink that many margaritas, guys. I just goof with y'all. But I do love the taste of good margarita. It looks like I have to try a little of this Jägermeister. I see Mark sipping on screen here. I mean, was that a sip, or was that a I think your ears hit the back of your chair when you tilted your head back there so quick.
Oh, yeah.
He just fell out of his chair.
That's right.
Seriously though, I'm 59 years old, and I don't need to get it away from me. When my belly started lapping over the belt, and I've got some other stories I'll tell you, just not here. But there's other reasons to be in better health. So there you go. So what am I eating tonight? You already heard. I had pizza, and then I'm drinking a glass of water with some tequila, a little lime juice. So I've got my fruit juice and some orange liqueur. So it's like a fruity flavored water, and it's quite good with a little tequila in it.
Basically water.
Margarita.
It's basically water. Yeah,
it's a margarita. It's a margarita. It's a big one. So as we go around, Yodacir, I like your dress hanging back there behind you. Do you?
Yeah, I'm planning to go out tonight.
Are you really? That's pretty dress. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
Very cute.
Did you get kicked out of? Did you get kicked out of your recording studio, or did you just switch rooms, or what?
No, same room.
Oh, so your wife is taking over.
Just hanging on the door.
Your wife's taking over the boys' bedroom as her room.
Yeah,
now.
no, we use it as a multi-purpose room right now.
I got you. I'm up in my oldest son, who's 28, up in his room, and I think it about looks like the day he left here at 18 to go to college. But we have 3 bedrooms upstairs, and we just kind of use them. I don't know why we've got this house anymore, but when people come to visit, it's nice. So what did you do for dinner tonight, Yodacir? How many calories did you eat?
A lot. I mean, I am a carnivore, and I don't put on weight very easily, so that's a plus for me. So I had
9 chicken legs.
I had some brisket and 6 wings.
My oh my! Did you buy that brisket?
I went to Mission Barbecue, got me a nice brisket with some cornbread and sweet potato pie, and 6 wings on top of that, with some peanut butter juice right now. You know.
What's peanut butter juice? What's peanut butter juice?
You had it, right? How'd you like it?
I have.
Right?
What is peanut butter juice? Right? Help me out here, guys.
Screwball, the whiskey peanut butter flavored.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I haven't got that fired on the aisle yet, I guess.
Yeah, good stuff, man. I'm not a big
so I got a question for
drinker,
you.
But that peanut butter whiskey, it's
So I got a question for you. So you said cornbread, and this is the thing that brought to my attention because of where you live. Is the cornbread sweet or not sweet? Okay, good.
You like sweet cornbread, Eric?
Sweet cornbread.
Now,
Hell yes. It might as well be cake.
I like sweet cornbread. I like sweet cornbread, but I love traditional cornbread. And then I also like jalapeno and cheese cornbread. I just like
it. Is not terribly sweet. It's sweet, but it's not like sweet. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do honey and sugar. Honey and sugar in my cornbread.
My wife is from New Jersey. She makes sweet cornbread, and when I make Martha White, cornbread out of the bag, she's just like she doesn't like it. And see, we grew up, and I don't think this is. I think they do this everywhere. I would assume. You take your cornbread and put it in a glass of milk and eat it. Anybody ever heard of that?
Yeah, I do that.
Oh, okay.
You could do that.
I don't put it in a glass. I put it in a bowl. 2 pieces of cornbread with milk on top of it and mush it everything.
So yeah, when we were kids,
but I mean,
that was a treat.
It's like elote and stuff like that. It's still corn.
And then you put a little aioli sauce in it.
No.
The
only reason I said that is
elote.
Whatever. The only reason I saw that is because I was at the deli earlier this week and I saw that word. Was it aioli? Is that how I say that? Aioli sauce? Yeah, boar's head aioli sauce. I was like, I know what that means.
Fancy mayonnaise.
Yeah, Eric taught me that a couple years ago. I also learned how to make mayonnaise this week.
Oh.
It's not difficult, but
you do it with egg and all that.
Egg and a little lime juice and little peppers. I like to spice it up a little bit, but yeah, it's pretty easy to make. VMAX, we know you're drinking the Jägermeister, the herb and spice liqueur from Germany. What goes with that tonight? Oh, let me guess. Let's see, because Don's not here, so you just let me know if I was right or wrong. Miss you, Don, because you always made me feel good about my misses on what he was eating. You had Stouffer's lasagna and Stouffer's French bread.
That's pretty close. I had leftover carnitas.
Oh, close enough.
Mexican lasagna.
which is not close.
Very close. You mean it had meat? So close.
That's right. But no, some that's one of my mainstays when I go to a Mexican restaurant is I'll either get some kind of carnitas or just go for the straight steak fajitas.
Carne asada, that's what it is.
Yeah.
I can't seem to get
carne asada.
I can't seem to get past the fajitas. I always stop with fajitas. Now, I will do this during the day. I would love to stop at. We have a large Hispanic population here in the area, and a lot of roadside stands, and to go out and get street tacos, man, they're just delicious.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you, don't get street tacos in Tijuana. I did that one time. Didn't make for an enjoyable flight back to Detroit, but not only because I was eating the radishes. They had a bowl full of radishes. I ate the radishes, but wonderful people and wonderful dishes. But I do love eating street tacos on corn tortillas here in Decatur.
Now the thing is, don't drink the water.
Street taco and street rotisserie chicken in Costa Rica.
Don't drink the water. That's what it is.
No. Drink sodas if you're gonna be down there.
Yeah,
like bottled water, maybe.
That's safe. Maybe bottled water.
Because remember, your gringos have a squishy belly, you know.
You drink warm margaritas with no tequila, triple sec, lime juice out of a bottle, or out of the lime itself. You'll never get any type of foodborne illness from your drink that way.
Y'all got some squishy belly, you know. And a little thing, and you're out of sync. If you catch my drift.
I don't. I do. Why you'd say I have a squishy belly? I told you I've been trying to lose weight, man.
Wishy-washy belly. We'll go with that. It is fun being in those places. You know, I love like Costa Rica and just different places other than, of course, America. But man, the food that you can get there that's just made like the most backwoods way possible. I'm like, dude, that's how we cook food in Texas. This ain't backwoods. Like we do this in our backyard. The way y'all are cooking your street food over here.
Yeah.
This is. I've got like 4 cousins that cook the same way. Actually, slightly get more ghetto than the way that they cook. They got grill stuff that's not even real grill stuff. It's like the mesh screen, the thicker gauge mesh screen,
stretch steel over
and
coals.
yeah, over a legit 50-gallon drum with mesquite wood in it, and it's never been cleaned. It probably was galvanized at one point, and they just that's how they cook. That's what they cook with.
You throw a dried up fish and a little piece of monkey on there, and you eat it, and it's just darn good with some lime juice and some.
They get their fish.
They
get their fish out of the water.
I told you about got eaten by a crocodile in Costa Rica one episode ago, didn't I? Remember? I was down. Actually, that was my brother's story. My brother went to Costa Rica. My son's been to Costa Rica on mission trips and for his dental school. And to do studies. But my brother went down there as a surfer, and he was talking about how they pulled the avocados right off the tree and made guacamole and stuff out of there. And
it's a beautiful place.
But he actually surfed up into a river that had crocodiles in it.
So what's the difference between
the funny thing
between a monkey tail and a chicken neck?
One will see you after a while, and one will see you later.
Nah, once it's cooked, you can't tell the difference.
Oh no, that's the difference between a crocodile and an alligator. One will see you after a while, and one will see you later. I'm sorry. You're right. You're right. It all tastes like chicken.
There you go. So that's the culinary section of the Knives
Unless it's steak. And that reminds me, if you want some of the best foods in the world, including Turkish delight, you need to head on over to TR Maker. That's tr-maker.com. And since it's a little ways to go for dinner, if you are in Istanbul, please go by and see Yücel. Excuse me. I talked to him this past week. It's Yücel, not Yücel, like I would say here in America. It's Yücel. Yildiz. Since 1980, TR Makers offered high quality and fast service from Istanbul, the heart of Turkey, to every country in the world. Check out their line of knife making tools to make your job easier and even more precise. You can't do without their products once you discover them. As a matter of fact, guys, I told you in the video I launched this week that I ordered my triaxle knife vise and the another help me out here, guys. Carbide file guide.
And another
carbide file guide. I ordered it on Wednesday. Got a tracking number that evening. It was in my front door on Sunday night. Supposed to be there Saturday, so I'm going to say that was DHL's fault. All the way on the other side of the world through customs and everything. It goes through customs while it's in the air. And there it came. Order from TR Maker, tr-maker.com. Got some great products and tools out there, and Yücel is one heck of a wonderful person, just like so many people in what we do. Eric?
So have you been using your vise?
Yes, I have. And I actually talked to my friend who owns another subpar podcast called Knife Perspective.
I saw that. He gave some modification recommendations.
He did. And it was just a couple add-ons, and I did purchase those modifications. I haven't installed them yet. Everything I've done so far has been just fine. I've put blades in it, and I've sanded a blade. I've used it in many different fashions already, and it is solid. But I'll be doing a full review on it, so I'm going to stop right there, and we'll put that online a little later date. But it's a great, great, great piece of equipment, beautifully engineered, and got my logo and laser etched on it too. So that's pretty cool.
Yo, my man, what is this?
Well, I sent that to you on purpose. Yodacir is showing you a picture, and I have to tell you, now Yücel sells the guard press, and I did use his guard press this week, a beautiful piece of equipment. I have found I really enjoy the guard press when setting non-metallic guards or around the bolster, a piece of wood or something like that, which I've done. Even a piece of brass. Using that piece of steel, I used the guard press and it set it, but I am very picky. And on my first knife, and we'll talk about this type of knife that I'm making right now, the first type of knife I'm making, I was wanting that guard and that knife to match up as flawless as I could get, because I've always said you can't fix it after it's together. You got to do it now, keep working, start over if you have to, but just don't put out anything subpar. And earlier this week, I did something that was also a recommendation of Master Yodacir. Now that's not Bladesmith Master. That's just Master like Yoda. He looks a little bit like Yoda. I swear, if he had some, dude, you had some pointy ears on right now, you could pass for Yoda in a little silk robe. But anyway, he said, you could press it, you can file it, you can do this, you can cut in the shoulders, and you may also think about heat pressing it or heat setting it. So while I got my knife guard all the way down, I could see the slightest little bit of light coming through, the slightest at certain angles. So I got out my torch and I heated that guard up red hot, put the knife in my vise, and hammered that baby in there. And I have got, it's 98% perfect. I don't know how I'm going to get any closer. I went and heated it again and put it in again, and it's 98% there. I may be overthinking it. So I am good. And what Yodacir was referring to is, what did I see right here? He says he sees that I'm using a coat hanger, because I went and I cut in my shoulders and I pressed everything, but to get everything to hold in nice and true so you can constantly inspect it without anything else around it except that little wire, was a little bent coat hanger with a hole drilled in the tangda to be able to rock it back and forth in there. So Yodacir, thank you for that wonderful Templar's tip. And yes, I am using it. There is a place for a coat hanger in knife making.
It's the Yodacir 3000.
You the man. Master Yodacir. That's it. Yodacir.
Yodacir. Oh my gosh. Yodacir.
I like it.
Yodacir Skywalker. So Eric, you've been eating in front of us. You mentioned you're eating the sourdough rolls with a little honey and butter, I believe. Is that what you said?
Yeah, honey butter. It's like a honey butter biscuit, but with sourdough.
Chewy,
And,
a little chewy,
a
little chewy, or
it is good. It's nice and airy, is what it is. They're nice and super fluffy.
Oh, we got a big sourdough loaf this week. Somebody made for my wife, and it was real chewy bread. And sometimes the ones that make your jaw sore if you eat too much of it. And I really enjoy that big round loaf, circular, domed loaf, kind of like your biscuit, but gallon size. So what was the rest of that meal you were showing us?
I did some stew from scratch. So some beef stew, and by beef I mean chopped up sirloin.
Yes,
because I'm ridiculous, and I can get sirloin here for a really good price if I'm just getting just regular sirloin, and then I just cut it up myself.
Right.
That's what I do, and it is the most tender meat that you can put inside of a stew, because once you cook it for about 45 minutes, it is like, it melts in your mouth, and then of course all your normal stew stuff.
Yodacir says that you can use monkey or something else he mentioned, and it still all tastes the same.
You could,
monkey
tail chicken neck.
Oh, monkey tail chicken neck.
Put that thing on a slow cooker and good to go, man.
Yodacir, have you ever eaten? You ever eaten a monkey?
No.
Okay, just checking.
There are things I won't
But
eat,
asking this, have you ever eaten tail?
That I can. Well, to be honest, I wouldn't know.
You've eaten tail
because when you're a child and you're going to neighbor's house and they have something to eat. I'm not going to ask him, hey, what is this? Could have been the little pet monkey they had, 2 days ago. I don't know.
What happened to the dog's tail? Hey, so did you ever eat oxtail, Yodacir?
Oxtail or dog's tail?
Ox.
Oh, yeah.
Ox.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, very good. Very good.
Yep. No, I was going to say the funny thing is you have people that would shy away from oxtail and or stuff like that, but that's not even the crazy things. Whenever you actually see them cook cow head and then you eat the cow head, the
the
cheek
cheeks are delicious,
meat
man.
and all that. And it is
sweet
really
meat.
good. And but you can get and we have a La Michoacana that's over here, and
Tongue is good.
yeah, no, but you can buy the cow head in the frozen
Yeah,
section
the whole. Oh, okay.
of that store. Yeah, so you can actually buy it. They have, of course, tongue. They have everything, but you can buy the cow head to cook.
I had tongue tacos one time at a place here just to try them, and I had tripe tacos, and the tongue was fine. The tripe was a little bit different for me. It wasn't terrible, but it wouldn't be. I didn't want to go back and order it again. Again, I think it's all what you grow up eating and what you become comfortable with, because I like to watch the guys over in, I'm not sure if it's Syria or Pakistan, but they're always eating different foods. Their own YouTube channel. And
never wear gloves.
Yeah, and they never use forks. Everything is like this with the right hand, not the left hand, not the left hand.
That's right.
But wonderful, wonderful men, very, very godly men within their religion, but very gracious men. But they love American foods, but I think the fast foods, probably with a lot of people, really kind of turn them off some of the things that we see as convenience foods and this, that, and the other.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, other than what I did here, I cooked knives today. That was
that's right.
My daily task in the shop was cooking knives and deep frying them in oil, and it was good. They came out nice and crispy.
What are you doing talking about knives? How did all this lead to knives? Are we going to talk about knives tonight? Finally, what do we like?
Probably should at some point.
Throw it in somewhere.
43 minutes in, and somebody finally mentions a dang knife. Well, I guess we did talk about coat hangers and knives.
Yeah, we've talked about them.
Yeah, a little bit.
And Broadbeck. Been talking about grinders.
Before that, let's redeem ourselves here, because, guys, I want you to go out and visit redeemsteel.com. They are made up of crafts people of all sorts: blacksmiths, bladesmiths, metalworkers, woodworkers, leather workers, etc. They use their talents to build homes for the homeless, give water to the thirsty, feed the hungry, share the good news of Jesus Christ, and so much more with people all over the world. Redeem Steel is a Christian 501c3 Yodacir. Yes, Yodacir, that's 501c3. That means they're a nonprofit organization that uses the works of their hands and the words of their lips to make a lasting impact on those they serve. Go out and visit redeemsteel.com. Great organization. Yodacir, we had talked earlier today as well, but Eric, you and I talked for 40 minutes this morning about life and making, and you got in a little bit about you were making steel knives, and as we continued on that conversation, I was late for a conference call, which was fun. I was enjoying our conversation. We talked a little bit about how the business is going and what you're leading up to. So, a lot of guys out here doing this by hobby. They sell a knife or two or 200, and they start thinking about, hey, let's turn this into a business. And not that that's not a common topic on knife making podcast, because realistically, I mean, we think that our margins are excellent in knife making, and they can be, but realistically, with what you put into knives, margins when you're paying the bills and all that maybe aren't exactly what you think they are. It's a little easier to you build it up. Eric, how is building the knife business going?
So I'll tell you, it takes a lot of thought. Whenever I was doing this as just a YouTuber, because whenever I was doing, let's go back 1 year. If anybody asked me what I did, I would say I was a YouTuber that made knives, and not really a knife maker that did YouTube. Now, was I a knife maker that did YouTube? Sure. But I primarily focused on YouTube builds and the YouTube side of it, the filming and all that. And if I only made 2 knives in 1 month, that was cool. I filmed them and released them, and that's all that really mattered.
But now you're a knife maker that does YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all the other things.
Life insurance.
Yeah, OnlyFans, just all this stuff now you're doing. So
yep,
yeah,
all the things. I forge at night in the nude. It gets real hot, so you gotta be careful.
Looks at you like you too.
So it's been a whole process. Whenever I'm thinking about making a knife or doing a commission piece, where before it really wouldn't matter because I was going to make hopefully as much on the YouTube video as I would sell the knife for. So by default, I was going to recoup a lot of money and everything was hunky dory, fine, and everything was good. But now, because I make so many knives off of the channel, those knives have to make the money to offset the time and materials that went into them plus profit. And so whenever before, again, if I made 2 knives in a month, it wasn't a big deal. I filmed them. We got a lot of YouTube content out of it. But now, I sold like 12, 13, 14 knives, something like that in the past 2 weeks. And I've got another show coming up in April, the beginning of April, the Texas Select show down in Belleville, which I'll hit on more here in just a second. But I've got to make knives to replace the knives that I've sold so that whenever I have my table, it's a full table.
Have you thought about, just as far as your margins go, maybe making like 4-inch blades and then welding on a piece of trash steel and then just filling any cracks in with a little welding rod?
Yeah, and if people are wondering what that is, look up why do people sell fake knives on YouTube.
Well, we're going to talk
and you can actually watch my video.
We're going to talk about that here shortly. So, but go right ahead. Keep on.
Belleville. With a lot of this, it's thinking through replacing inventory, because now my knives are part of inventory, and I have to make sure that if I'm selling stuff, I'm making stuff. Where before, I had so many extra knives, and if I made a YouTube build and I put it on my website and it sold, cool. I was gonna make another YouTube build, wasn't that big a deal. Again, my main job that I had paid all my bills and took care of everything and let me have a hobby and let me have everything that I wanted to do. But now, everything that I do, because I work for myself, whether I'm selling knives or I'm selling life insurance, I'm my boss. I'm the only one. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, "Hey, are you at work?" So I have to get started, go out there, go, okay, I've got 35 knives right now, and I need 40 to be able to sell if I'm going to have a rolling inventory or whatever. So I've got to get these 5 knives sold or built. And if I sell 2 knives in the process of building those, well, then I got to make 2 more. And it's thinking through how much does the handle material cost? If I'm making something that's like a smaller knife, before I could put whatever handle material I wanted on it because I had so many extra pieces of handle material. So if the handle material was like $60 or $80, it didn't matter. If it was going on a knife that was $150,
did you ever?
It didn't matter because I had excess.
How many knife handles could you make out of 4x8 sheet of Louisiana Pacific plywood and just call it exotic?
Probably make a whole bunch of them.
Exotic Louisiana specific. Call it specific.
Yeah. And here's another thing. And I can't make any knives like that anymore because if it was something that was good for a YouTube video but was never meant to be really used, it'd be one thing. But now every single knife that I make has to be a 100% usable, functional,
beautiful
knife that can be sold. And so it has to have the right stuff. But again, like I was saying with before, if I was going to make a smaller knife that might be 6-inch overall length that you might only sell for $150, well, if it's a 6-inch knife, I'd sell it for $250. Let's just be real.
Right.
But before, it really wouldn't matter. Now I've got to think, if I put some crazy material on the handle, and I use some crazy steel, and the knife cost me $100 to make in materials, and then it cost me 10 hours of labor. Well, if I only charge $10 for 10 hours of labor, that's $100. So now I'm $200 into the knife build, and I'm only charging $10 an hour in labor, and I'm going to try and sell it for $250 or $200. It has to make sense. So the handle material, the way I look at it, I can get a block of wood, and can I cut 2 sets of scales out of it? Can I extend the life of the wood? Can I make some composite scales with cutoffs from other blocks
Right.
where I go through and create multi-piece scales.
Which is another process in itself to make those.
Yeah, but that's reusing scraps and things like that to make something that ends up being a good thing that you can end up selling. And same thing, how much steel do I have? Am I able to forge extra knives? Am I able to make more knives? There's a lot that goes into that thought process to make sure that I'm a profitable business, because every bit of money that I make pays a car bill, pays a cell phone bill, pays the light bill, pays the water bill, pays all the different things. And if I'm not selling knives, then my bills don't get paid. I literally am not able to pay a thing if I don't sell stuff. And it's interesting. Like whenever you work for a corporation, you work for a company, you're not worried about where the money's coming from. You just know I go in, I work X amount of hours, I agreed to get paid X amount for X amount of hours. All I got to do is work those hours, put in that work. My money's going into my bank account. I know that the bills can come out whenever they come out. I know that on the 15th, it's fine. I get paid on the 14th. Everything's going to be good. I'm guaranteed to get X amount of money at least. If I get a bonus, fantastic. There ain't none of that. I am not guaranteed a dang thing.
What's your vacation plan look like over at the Rivers Experience?
My vacation plan's absolutely awesome. That's the one perk to having this particular.
Are you taking your forge to the beach with you?
Hey, no, but going to the shows and doing that stuff. I'll be down in Belleville for 3 days with my wife. We're staying in a really cool Airbnb that's like a A-frame cabin, and it's a really cool Airbnb. And the cool thing is, the proceeds from the show pay for everything. And
do you throw out like a 12-pack of Cokes and some Captain Crunch for the kids while you're gone?
No, I look out, and I got the kids have great grandparents.
I only say that. Awesome. I only say that because that's another caveat that you guys have to make sure you take care of as well. So,
oh yeah, and the interesting thing about this, with having to think about everything, is, again, whenever it's your business, everything has to make sense. Like I've thought about ways to do things. It's interesting. Like I've thought about, should I sell my Porsche? A lot of people know that I have one, and a lot of people don't know that I have one. And whenever I worked where I worked, I made a really good income, and you could have a lot of toys and things like that. But I've thought, do I sell some of those things and just make it a little bit easier on me, or do I just work harder and make more money and keep all the fun stuff that I do? And I don't know. I think I'd rather just make more money. And I'll tell you this: my life has never been about making the most money possible. I'm a person who enjoys comfort. As long as my family's comfortable, as long as I'm comfortable, I don't need to be a millionaire. I've got family and friends that have that mentality that no matter how much money they make, it's never enough.
Right.
And for me, I just want to make enough for us to be comfortable, make sure I can pay my bills, make sure I can buy cool stuff, and I want to enjoy what I do. And was it you that talked about the whole, are you in like your retirement thing?
I have talked about it.
Do I feel like I'm retired? But I feel like I retired at 40, and that is one of the upsides to doing what I do. And it is absolutely awesome, because what I do for a living is the thing that I enjoy. And the fact that I'm only 40 years old and getting into it how I'm getting into it now and that I'll be teaching classes this year, and that'll pay bills as well.
Right.
On top of making knives, but being able to do the classes and have people fly in and come in to do that. It's pretty cool being able to do that, and I plan on doing this for as long as possible. Now, there is one thing that I am a little bit different than some people. If I get to a point to where I don't feel like everything's going how it's supposed to be going, I have no issue going and working somewhere else and getting a job and putting this back to where I do YouTube and knife making part time.
Right.
I'm not so ridiculous that I have to make knife making work or nothing else works. If it doesn't end up being a thing that makes sense, financially, I have no issue going and working for somebody else, and you just gotta do what you gotta do.
I hate to interrupt you, but I've got a couple things to do here real quick. Have you noticed we're seeing a lot of Mark's Adam's apple tonight as he tilts his head back?
Hey, he's enjoying his drink.
He's got Jägermeisters running down the side of his lips there, just right down under his chin.
Leave him alone, man. He's enjoying himself, huh?
I'm sorry, Mark. And to redeem myself, I'm going to say, hey, Eric, if you got those classes set up in the future, you need to make sure that you send your students or set yourself up with Pop's Knife Supplies. They're at popsknifesupplies.com or popsknife.supplies. Pop's Knife Supplies started 40 years ago by James Poplin. James was already an accomplished knife maker when he started the supply business. He has served the knife maker, or Pops as a company has served the knife making community for a long, long time with industry-leading prices and actual shipping cost. Today, it's run by Alan Searles, Joey Berry, and Dirk Lutz, who are full-time knife makers. Their focus is customer service and great products and prices. As a matter of fact, as far as customer service goes on your shipping, you get charged shipping at checkout, but once they ship, they get the actual cost and they refund you the difference every time. So go out and check out Pop's Knife Supplies at popsknife.supplies.com. I will be heading over to Gainesville. That's where our corporate office is for my day job, and I plan on running into their store and taking a look at it. I hear it's quite the show place, so yeah, it looks good. Or you can use some leaf springs from around the back of Eric's shop.
Or the leaf spring that people want me to take off the top of my power hammer and turn it into knives. Like, imagine how many knives you can make out of that leaf spring you have up there. And the funny thing is,
I showed you the leaf spring you need.
I know that thing is a beast. It's like 2-inch thick or something like that.
Yeah, each spring has got at least 2 inches.
What kind of vehicle was that on?
Yeah.
That was on a side loader garbage truck.
Oh, okay.
Brand new. It's actually an electric garbage truck.
Oh gosh.
We bought an electric, fully electric, and the city named it Lightning McClean.
That's wonderful, and I'm glad. That's wonderful, but
it couldn't have been Wally.
So
we have a sticker on it. That's what it says.
You do realize that what is it out in Oregon or Washington? Let me look this up here. Electric Lightning McClean face or something like that. Lightning McClean face. Electric. I'm searching as we go. Buses. I'm gonna put in failure.
That it's going to turn into fire. It's going to blow up in fire.
Well, I used to work in the electric car industry vaguely. Sorry, Yodacir, another thing. I worked with Texaco Ovonic Battery as part of United Solar Ovonic. We did solar. Texaco Ovonic did battery technology for cars with Texaco. But anyway, electric buses are sitting unused in cities across the U.S., and here is why. They're broken down. The companies went out of business. They can't get parts for them. They're not as dependable as they thought they were. The world is not ready for that. Yeah, I even saw Elon Musk was sending out, he had a tractor trailer driving across the country that was electric this week. And I'm not against that type of technology, and it's great you're doing it. Guys, I came from it. We were doing hydrogen fuel cells in cars, electric cars, and so on. Hybrids. The first cars, that came out were hybrids, and because you couldn't get any mileage out of a battery back then. And we just haven't evolved to it yet, but we got to keep moving forward. Don't get me wrong. But when you look in a lithium mine, versus what's coming out of the ground, and the difference between the two totally different, dinosaurs.
Well, let's just be real for a second. The diesel engine built this country. The diesel engine is what this country relies on. And the funniest thing about that is the things that people charge these batteries with. Well, generators, all the diesel machines and motors and generators that run all of everything. And they're like, but it's clean energy. No, where'd you get your clean energy from?
Right.
It's like, shut up. The funny thing is they used all the diesel machines in order to get the stuff out of the ground, in order to make the batteries, in order for them to not be biodegradable, so that they can, and the funny thing about that is how you were saying that the people can't even, they don't have parts for it. The businesses are going out of business. You know what? It's not going out of business. Diesel mechanics.
Right.
And people who make those engines, because some of those engines have been rebuilt 50 times because it's simple engine to rebuild. And as long as you have spark, air, and fuel, you have a thing that runs.
Fire to make an engine pop.
It's that simple.
Well, you said 50 times, but in third world countries, you and I talked earlier today, some of these things have probably been rebuilt 150 times.
100, yeah. With full blown MacGyver style.
Yeah.
With like paper clips, bubble gum,
yeah.
and a welding rod, and an alternator.
Rod
the funny
blew out
thing
the
is,
side of the engine, took half the block, and we welded some steel on there, and we ground it and made that baby work again.
Yep.
We're only running on 3 cylinders now, but that baby runs.
You have no idea.
But that's good. Well, Otis here, it's interesting you say that, because as we were talking today, in America, I'm going to have a cough here. Okay, I'm back. In America, I had to go mute for a second here, and now you can heard it. But in America, we are very much a society that throws things away and replaces them. You go across the border, south of the border, or over seas, and you see things that are being used much, much, much longer and repaired much, much longer. And Eric put it very good, today when he was talking to me, that they may make $1 a day, and a part may be $15. They're going to rebuild that gear, and if they got to pay another $10 or whatever for shipping, then they're talking about a whole month's worth of work to fix the gear. I think we can weld some steel on it and make it work. I'm not trying to steal your story there, Eric, but it was, it sat right with me in what you were saying. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, we take things for granted, and that's the reason why, even in a lot of the things that I do, is making sure I don't lose some of the old ways of doing things, whether it's gardening, hunting, fishing, camping, survival, that kind of stuff, and making knives. If you're not banging out a knife on an anvil, you're not a knife maker, right, Otis here?
Absolutely.
Oh, no, that's Damascus now.
No. Now it has to be Damascus. If you ain't banging your Damascus by hand, you're not a real knife maker.
Well, I guess I'm not a real knife maker yet. Mark, I did.
Not yet.
Mark did say something about banging out a piece of 2-inch thick electric bus, electric dump truck, electric trash truck,
Trash truck.
Leaf spring today. So he's headed there. He'll be a knife maker someday.
Yeah, someday.
So,
and Eric Rivers says, guys, everybody's a knife maker. And yes, we all agree.
No, with almost. And if we're talking about the next little subject here, I don't know if you're ready for it with the fake knives.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like this would be the perfect.
But before you do that, let me just tell you, if you're going to a knife show and you want to ensure that the Damascus that you're using is real, I suspect you should go to phoenixabrasives.com. That's at Phoenix Abrasives, and they offer great prices, selection, quality, and quick delivery. They have a complete inventory of belts, discs, rolls, wheels, and anything else you need to get the job done right, even sanding Pachymascus. Enter Templars 10 at checkouts for 10% off your next order. I would not suggest sanding a knife show knife unless you get permission from the owner. You may have just bought it, but you'll be able to tell if it's real Damascus or not. Eric, we just segued into you.
Yes. So with the fake knives, and with us being, this goes into the throwaway culture, It's nowadays it's nothing for somebody to spend $45 on a knife, and if it gets dull, they just go buy another $45 knife. They don't care about edge retention unless they're an avid knife user or knife collector or something like that. But one of the things that I'm running into as a full-time knife maker and going to the shows, which is where you actually make a good amount of your income within knife making, is going to the shows and putting your name out there. Now, of course, I luck out a little bit, and I have the YouTube to help me put my name out there over the shows. But to get your local people understanding who you are, kind of have to go to the shows as much as possible and let people hold your knives, feel your knives, and understand that they're quality product. And whenever I was at the show that I was at last weekend, the table right next to me had about 100, we'll just call them Pakistan Damascus knives. And it was just kind of ridiculous because his knives were priced between 40 and 80 bucks. And this isn't talking bad about the guy who was selling the knives. He would tell everybody he was not the maker. He would come up with some story about who the maker was, and he was a good salesman in that aspect. But he would tell them that mine were hand forged, his are factory forged, which I guess factory forged is it was stamped out of a piece of steel or something like that. But it was $40 to $80 for one of those fake Damascus knives, and where it became an issue was people were looking at my knives for between $250 to $750, and they're going, yes, these are real knives. A lot of the people would walk by and go, holy crap, real knives? Like, there's actual knife maker here? This is awesome. And then they wouldn't buy anything. And then they would go and they would buy one of these like $40 to $80 pretty looking fake knives. And, some people don't understand why I say fake knife, because does it have an edge? Sure. Does it have a handle on it? Sure. Does it look like a knife? Yes, it does. But when it boils down to it, it'll never hold an edge. And a person who's now one of my customers, they gave me a knife that was sentimental to them. Her husband bought it for her, and it was a fake Damascus knife. And
when you say fake Damascus, please elaborate for somebody who didn't see the video that you posted and is trying to, what is fake Damascus?
So they have a couple of different ways to make fake Damascus. Probably the most popular version of it is still doing a pattern welded steel, but they're using two steels that mimic 15 and 20 and a 10 series steel. So it's a steel that will etch dark and a steel that will stay shiny. So they could be medium carbon. They could be a little bit higher carbon, but not that good of steel. And once they figure out that those steels can give that contrast, they just get as much of it as possible. It could be bumper material, hood material. It's whatever they have, especially in countries where, again, they get whatever materials they can and they use the hell out of them. Where the thing we were talking about, Chip, earlier with the gear, if they have a gear, instead of replacing that gear, they will weld it as many times as possible and fix the teeth over and over and over again, because that's the materials they have, and materials are expensive. So they will know, okay, so I can get this piece of steel off of these cars that are in the dump or whatever, and if I put them together, it makes for a pretty knife. So that's the one that a lot of them that you see the videos where they're in India and they're knocking out Damascus knife after Damascus knife after Damascus knife, wearing pajamas and no shoes, and they're using a 10-inch cutoff disc.
It's a moo-moo. Now, come on.
Yeah, they're using like a 10-inch cutoff disc attached to a 5,000 RPM bench grinder, and they're shaping knives with that in between their legs. And it's like, you see that's where a lot of that comes into play. The other thing is the more high-tech version, where they laser etch the pattern onto the
Okay, that's
steel.
new to me. I've seen
And
it in your video.
yep,
You're
and
talking about it, but laser etching a Damascus pattern. That's interesting.
yep, because all you got to do is just put the blade right there, and you can get whatever pattern you wanted, and just how you would laser etch your maker's mark. It's the same exact thing. And yeah, that right there. And so you laser etch the pattern on it just as if you were going to do your maker's mark. And you can really see that these knives are done that way whenever you look at the spines, and they're all hand sanded spines and polished, and the only area that has the Damascus is the actual flats and bevels. And on the knife that I'm redoing for this lady, I went ahead and etched the spine where it was sanded like that, and you have pattern leading all the way up to that area whenever I etched it, and I etched it for like 5 minutes. Zero pattern, just mono steel. And then what also popped up was the fact that there was a weld seam, because the only part that was and this knife did come out at between 50 and 55 HRC. So it wasn't that it was absolutely not heat treated at all. It did heat treat some. I mean, it heat treated better than a railroad spike would. So between 50 and 55 HRC.
55 is better than the knife I had from Walmart. So
correct. And that is whenever I reprofile it and do all the stuff to it, it'll hold a decent edge for what she's going to use it for, because she uses it for kind of like an all-purpose type knife, which is a 58 HRC, 58 to 59 is great for like a camp knife, an all-purpose utility knife. 58 to 59 is great. You only really need to be in the 60s for like chef's knives or high-end EDCs that are going to be made of Magna Cut or something like that. But so it'll be an okay knife, but it is not Damascus, and it's laser etched to look like Damascus. And the only part that was hardenable steel was just the blade section. There's a weld seam directly behind the bolster area, and so they just welded on a piece of mild steel to the whole handle area.
So that's what I was not getting. You just said it was laser etched to look like Damascus. I didn't realize you had said that. Oh, wow.
Yep. So all they got to do again is just lay the piece of steel underneath the laser printer or the laser etcher, just like you would do your maker's marks with the lasers, or like how you got your maker's mark put on your knife vise. They just stick it in there. They go through and they do the whole entire pattern, and basically the steel is polished. It's sanded and polished. So the steel that's sanded and polished is what looks like 15 and 20.
Yeah.
And then the laser puts the 10 series steel lines on it.
Well, it's just laser Damascus is all.
Yes. Yeah. And one of the ways that you can easily see that it's that is whenever you take something that is like 60 layers plus or 50 layers plus, and you grind into it, you can actually see the topography type pattern change as you start grinding away the steel. You start seeing the rings of a tree, the layers go through it, and it won't transition right whenever you are looking at the laser pattern of it. It won't have the right layer depth, I guess you could say, as you start grinding it. And the funniest thing was this was one of the phrases that the guy next to me would say. He would say, "These knives are folded 3 to 4 times." So the knives are folded 3 to 4 times for a total of 400 to 600 layers. So imagine how big your initial billet would have to be to fold it 3 to 4. Just imagine, let's do the max, 4 layers, and do the minimum that he said, 400. So you fold it 4 times and get 400 layers Yeah, the math on that means your first initial billet was 100 layers thick.
Yeah.
Could you imagine putting that in a forge or a press? What type of forge or press are you using that you could have 100 layers?
Yodacir says he could forge that.
Oh, I can do that with my 5-pound hammer, no problem. What you talking about?
That's right. That's
yeah. I mean, I've seen Kyle Royer take stacks that are like 25 layers and 30 layers, which are huge billets, and take and press them. But and the funniest thing was he was calling 15 and 20, 19 and 20. There was just so many things. The only reason why I wasn't hassling the guy is because
it had one atom removed. But go right ahead.
Yeah, 100% of the proceeds that he was doing was going to a veterans donation. So he wasn't keeping any of the money. It's all for a veterans thing. And he was selling other things before that at gun shows. He just happened to be right pace, right time to get this ridiculous amount of fake knives. And it has helped bring a lot of money to to their particular organization, and which is absolutely awesome.
Right.
The people who are buying the knives understand that they're not buying a high-end knife. You know, nobody who was standing there looking at his knives and looking at mine was saying, "Oh, this is the same knives as this guy's over here." They understood that they were a $40 to $80 knife, that they were not fancy, that they were not legit. And even though he was still doing his whole spiel, a lot of them, they would come over and look at the Damascus knives on my table and go, "Yeah, there's a difference."
I tell you,
difference.
I went to Cavender's in Texas and found out we got one here in North Alabama, and same thing there. The knives that they sell are stamped Pakistan on the side, and I'm sure they're all from overseas. And they're selling $80, $90, $100, and every one of them looks like the handles are already separate, and everything just looks like crap.
I just had an idea.
Yep.
What's up?
I'll replace my name on the knife from Pinto to Pakistan. Maybe I'll sell more.
for $80 a piece. For $80 a piece.
Well,
I'll buy one of your knives for $80.
That was the interesting thing about this show. So with this show, with it being a gun and knife show, most of the people that are there are either collectors or they're trying to get a deal on a random gun. They're trying to find the $350 AR-15 that's technically worth $1,000, but someone's just trying to get rid of. They're trying to find, some over and unders or some lever actions or something like that. They're trying to find the $500 M1 Garand. That's what they're wanting. And then they see just a couple of random knives and they're like, well, maybe I'll go ahead and scoop up one of those. But there was like 4 vendors out of the 6 vendors that were there who sold knives who had the Pakistan knives. And then there was 2 vendors, myself and another local maker. These are from Stephenville, Texas. It's kind of local, like 30 minutes away. But his knives were, and he had a whole table of them, but he was in he was in the area of knife making that you're in. Let's say I started with files, whenever my first couple of knives were file knives. I didn't have a forge. I didn't have all the stuff to really mess with them. And whenever I got my forge, I was able to start working with 1095 and 1084. And let's say my grinds weren't always, they didn't make sense whenever I first started making knives. But luckily they did. I got to skip ahead a little bit because I was a very avid knife collector. I understood what all the grinds were. I understood what specific grinds were necessary on what particular
Eric's
blades.
Calling himself old prodigal there, but go right ahead, Eric.
He's still in that that phase of knife making where he puts a Scandi grind on a chef's knife.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's it's like a full flat, almost 3/16 of an inch thick knife, and the bevels only come up half an inch,
and
the blade is almost 2 inches tall.
Going to Lowe's and getting saw blades.
Yeah, and supposedly they were all $10.95.
Well, they sell that on Amazon.
Yeah, and he sold a few sets because he does like kitchen sets and things like that. None of the grinds technically made any sense. Now, what he did get me to think about was he had these like battle axes that he made out of random things and like these spike hammers and stuff. I am going to use some of his ideas on some of the things that he did with those. Those are really cool. But knife making wise, he's still in that he hasn't figured out the edge geometry or the handle ergonomics.
Did you go over with that scaled thing with copper hanging off the back of it with a couple dragon's tooths and challenge him to a fight?
No, he came over to the table and he thought they were absolutely beautiful. He loves the knives and he's a subscriber now and all that stuff. But he tends to do flea markets and things like that. He will go to a gun and knife show, but he more follows the flea markets and the things like that. So the knives that he's making, he needs to only have like $25 invested into the knife build. That needs to be his time, his materials, everything. So he's getting whatever he can from wherever he can to make it pretty cheap because his average knife sells for about $80 to $100.
Yeah.
And it's but those knives, even with the not so good edge geometry, even with probably not the best handle in the world, were still better knives than those dang Pakistan
the plastic
knives
handles
that looked prettier than his knives. They did. Those knives did look prettier than his knives, but his knives were actually heat treated and were actual, whether it was 5160 or 1095 or 1084 or whatever. It was actual steel that people would use to make knives, and it was actually heat treated by a person who was at least paying attention to the heat treat, and it was quenched in Parks 50 and AAA. He was using those oils.
Well, if he was using that kind of stuff, I hope he was also hopefully he's invested in a Ameribraid grinder or some of their accessories from Ameribraid.com. Ameribraid owners, Eric and Kevin, have developed one of the best grinders and accessory tools on the market. You need to take a look at their 3 packages, see which one's right for you. You can get grinding, but I'm telling you guys, go out and get the mastery package and get all the pieces. When you call Ameribraid, you're going to talk and speak to one of the owners, guaranteeing you the best service around. And I tell you one thing that sets them apart, they got that beautiful stand that you can mount those grinders on. It's a game changer, visionary. Yes, they should launch one of those things into space and let it sail off playing Rocket Man. It's a good machine. So there's a place for those knives. As a matter of fact, this year we have depot days here in Hartselle, Alabama, and I'm going to make about a dozen or so knives that I'm going to go up there and set up my tent and sell some overpriced knives. My wife's like, nobody in this town's going to pay what you charge for knives. I said, then I'll just go up there and sit and drink lemonade and enjoy myself. I'm not worried about whether I sell anything or not because I don't have to.
And let people meet you.
Yeah. But at that same show, there's those overseas crappy knives laid out on tables. There's people there selling trivets, they're selling flags, they're selling shirts, they're selling all kinds of stuff. A little downtown festival kind of thing, crafts and all. And then you've always got that one table that's full of knives, and being a knife maker, I always kind of walk up and start looking at them and then just watching them to give me their spiel. And when they do, I step back and just kind of giggle a little bit because I can tell when you're being taken or somebody's just trying to make a quick buck. But this year, like I said, I've just decided I'm taking knives to that show, and I'm going to show people something different that they haven't seen before.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, the big thing for you to do is make sure you have business cards because you'll get business after the sale. But one of the things that I've always said, and I've said this for years as of right now, the thing that takes something from a knife-shaped object to an actual knife. It's not the forging, it's not the stock removal, it's not, the this way is better than that way. It's if you're going to call something a real working tool or a knife, it needs to have good edge retention. It needs to have purposeful edge geometry.
Right.
It needs to have purposeful steel decision making, so the type of steel that you're going to use for the actual build, and it needs to have purposeful ergonomics. Now, the handle material, I would say you want that to be purpose driven as well, but the big thing is going to be, is it comfortable? Does it hold an edge? And does it cut the particular stuff that it's intended to cut well? Is it a chef's knife that has a full flat with a slight convex edge with enough heel to where you can easily pinch grip it and do its intended chef's duties with chopping or slicing or whatever it is? If it does, then fantastic. And it can hold the edge, great. It's one of those things where once you get to that point and the stuff starts making sense, then absolutely amazing. There's a particular type of camp knife that I don't like, but it makes for a really good camp knife, and that is a lot of these Scandi grinds.
Is it a Mora knife?
There's
Mora
that's one
is
of
one
them.
of the popular.
And you'll see a lot of Scandi grinds on those knives. Now, the nice thing about those is for something that is going to be a useful pry bar whenever you're needing it, if it needs to open a can of beans or something like that, having that Scandi grind is going to be helpful. I'm more of a saber grind, which is
so if
slightly
you want
higher.
A can of whoop ass?
Yeah, it's very helpful.
Well, with the saber grind, yeah.
Yeah, so the saber grind is just a higher version of a Scandi. It's like 2/3 of the height of the blade versus Scandi, which is going to be 1/3 of the blade. And it's just, there's personal preferences. I've used all those knives. I've baton knives like that through wood. I've seen like what is useful and what's not useful, and the thickness of knife. You don't need a 1/4 of an inch thick blade for a camp knife. 3/16 is plenty. I've got camp knives that are 1/8 of an inch thick, that are then Cerakoted or powder coated after that. And there's a lot of things that you could think through on what you're going to do with these knives. But to me, if you're going to make a knife just because you want to make a knife and it's a hobby, as long as you can make it to where it holds an edge and it has a comfortable handle, that's what matters. If you're going to do this as a business and you're going to sell something as a product that has an intended use, you need to design the knife around the intended use. If it's going to be a product that you sell. If it's just a hobby and you want a chef's knife that has a Scandi grind, screw it. Do it. As long as it holds an edge, who gives a damn? If you want a blade that, if you want to make a Tonto to cut your vegetables with that has no heel, the blade, the cutting edge runs straight into the handle, do it. I don't care. That's up to you. But if you're going to sell it as a chef's knife, if you saw the video, it's whenever they do the titles and they're 47 things long. But
Chef
come on, it can't be a chef's knife and a baseball bat.
Yodacir, speaking of battle axes and hammer.
Yes, I don't have one.
Let me just, I understand, but before we go into that, I want to talk about knife-wood.com by Oleg Bashkovic. You can get him over at knife-wood on Facebook or again at knife-wood.com. Oleg makes some of the greatest stabilized woods that he ships from Russia to your home. Once you use his products, you will be sold on his quality, artistic ability, and customer service. You can find him at knife-wood.com. Yodacir.
You know where I just did you know where I just saw Oleg's wood is on I didn't realize he was selling it at
You've been looking at Oleg's wood, huh? I see.
Hey.
Well, it's good. It was.
We had probably about
good. It was at Maritime instead of OnlyFans, but. Speaking of that, where can people find his wood at Maritime? What's the website? Is it maritimeknifesupply.ca or maritimeknifesupply.com? And they've got great products and services in Canada, and they ship internationally. So check them out for great deals and service. You can get ovens, you can get belts, you can get steel, you can get anything you need to make knives at Maritime Knife Supply. But Oleg's there, you say?
Yeah. Front page. I opened it, and then really he's got the whole front page of their site.
Good. Yeah, Dennis Tyrell got him hooked up with Lawrence Lake over there.
Yeah,
and it was a pretty good deal for Oleg. I'm happy for him.
Me too.
Yeah,
Me too.
awesome.
And Lawrence is one heck of a great guy too. I will tell you that he is a kind, wonderful person. Did you see him at Blade Show, Eric?
Yeah.
Good.
Oh yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah, wonderful guy. Wonderful guy. Yodacir, you've been beating a lot of steel lately and lots of designs. Tell us a little bit about what's been going on at Yodacir's shop.
Not much. Just doing my Brazilian redneck experiments and trying to come up with new stuff and perfecting my hammer work and my low layer Damascus, which by the way is going to increase the layer count shortly. I got me some thinner steel. I went from 125 to I think 0.90, so I could probably almost double my layer count. And
are you still going to make any monosteel knives, or are you going to become the captain of Damascus now?
I want to master my hammer work, so I think I had enough of mono for a little bit. Let me stay on the low layer for a minute, and then I'll justify myself into buying a press so I can go to high layer count. So
when are you going to start doing some feathers?
I would need a press for that.
Not you.
I mean, I think you could do it with the hammer. It's just that it's a lot of work.
Nah, it'd be a little bit too much, because you could probably do it with an axe splitter.
That's what I was thinking,
or whatever. But nah, going through that many layers of steel would be
a lot of work,
because of how hot you got to keep it for how long it's going to be. You almost need to be able to cut through it. You got to cut through it fast, because every second that you have the cooler steel touching the steel, it's cooling it, and you need to be able to pretty much cut through that at one go. And that's what creates the feather pattern, because you're shoving the top layer all the way down to the bottom whenever you're cutting through it. You're not just splitting it, so you're creating a big V. And if you don't have something that can cut through it real quick, then it's not going to be successful.
I would probably go to Home Depot, hire 2 guys to beat the steel with those 10-pound sledgehammers, and I'll be holding an axe and say, okay, when I put the axe down, you all start pounding until we make it through. All right, no, stop. Let's go. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Hey, Yodacir. So I got a question for you. So you said you're going to try to go to thinner steels to get a little bit higher layer count, but why couldn't you just hammer what you have down and then cut it and restack it and then reforge those rolls again?
I could. It's just that I want to jump into higher layer count without having to restack it. And if I'm going to restack it, I'd rather have, say, 15 layers in one stack, make another 15 layer, stretch them out, put them together, make a 30 layer, And you got to start somewhere. Yeah. So I'm pretty happy with what I've been putting out lately. You all saw the last knife I posted pretty much everywhere. How you like that pattern there? And one side it came, wavy and pretty. The next side it was kind of blotchy. So still unique, pretty.
It was fun. It was beautiful.
Right? A beautiful.
Hey, Mark, did you tell the listeners about the Templars 20 and where they can get that
We haven't. But you can use Templars 20 at Ameribraid, and that's 20% off all their accessories,
parts and
for their
parts and accessories,
parts or accessories, which is like an amazing deal, because on my list of one of the next things after my heat treat oven gets in is to get one of those surface. I wouldn't get a surface scrounging attachment, but with 20% off, I feel like it's almost like I can't pass it up with them. So, sometime in the next couple months, I might
it's
keep
like
doing
$220 off on that.
Yeah, it's a great deal.
So Yodacir, have you thought about doing taking some of your Damascus billets and doing a sandmai with them? Because I mean that would be one way to be able to increase your layer count too. Because if you were able to forge out that and then sandmai it on both sides, let's say you do 15 layers, well then boom, by default you're at what, 31?
Yeah.
Stretch out that bar and just sandwich it on either side of some ADCRV2 or something like that.
How big of a sandmai would I be able to make it lengthwise in order for it to have a proper forge weld? Because remember, forge welding by hand and being by myself, right now I'm forge welding 3-inch long stacks, right? I would try to bump it up to 3.5, and let's see how big of a stack I can make until I find that cutoff point where, okay, this is too long for me to forge weld in one heat,
So I'll tell you this. So if you're going to do it, do your initial stack for however long you're going to do, if it's like 3.5 or 3 inches, and just get it tall enough to where once you set the forge welds, only use your straight peen and just only focus on length and make it as long as possible, and then take that, cut it in half, and whenever you stack it on either side of your sandmai, again, only use your straight peen and just focus on length, and you should get a pretty good size blade out of that. And by default, I mean, you're looking at a higher layer count, and it would look really cool too, because I love like your pattern that you get with your Damascus. It's super striking, and if you had that and it was on the side of one of your Bowie style knives, and you did like a ADCRV2 core, or if you did, I like the reverse effect. A lot of people like the dark core. Me personally, I like seeing those things with 15 and 20 as the core.
Yes, I thought about that.
Because you can get a 3/16.
I would say maybe a 6 mils thick piece of 15 and 20 as the core. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe even
that
thicker.
Way it
I mean, I think
polishes.
they sell a 0.375 thick 15 and 20. And you have that big old chunk of 15 and 20 as the core, and then you have about the same thickness as the cladding, right? That would be super nice.
I think that would look real cool, and because you're using primarily the straight peen to forge out length, you'll get a nice good wave in it, and I think it would be super cool doing that. And again, I'm just partial to I like having the shinier edge steel. It looks really cool whenever you have the dark cladding.
Yeah, either
on the
way
outside
it works,
of
man.
that.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
I've seen what you're talking about, where the core is like the 15 and 20 is shiny, and the thing I like about 15 and 20, that thing is super hard. It gets way over 60 on the HRC after tampering, right? So I think that would.
Yeah, it's a great chef's knife still.
And that's a great idea. I haven't thought about it. And anything like this, I've been just focusing on getting my principles of forge welding down to where I can say, okay, every time I'm doing it, my forge weld is coming out on the spot, right? And so I
Yeah.
ordered some steel. I ordered some 1095 and 50 and 20, inch and a quarter wide. So make my life a little bit easier. I don't have to be, cutting my billets in half after the forge welded. And
Yep.
let's take it from there, man. But yeah, that's a really nice idea. I think I just might order me point 375, 15 and 20s, and maybe 80 CRV2 as well. Let's give it a try.
Yeah. I'll be doing some Damascus builds whenever I get back from Texas Select. I'm taking, I think, 5 with me this go around to Texas Select, but um, I'm going to be doing more on the actual channel. Coming back from Texas Select, I'm going to do a one of the live streams is going to be forging some Damascus, and then of course with the power hammer it makes it a lot easier. All I got to do is set the welds with by hand, and then the power hammer
Oh
draws it
yeah.
out
Oh yeah.
super easy. Uh, I mean, it's ridiculous what a 30-pound hammer can do
I
to make it
can
a lot
only
easier on you.
imagine.
But yeah, the I've got a lot of projects that I started doing whenever I was, the last like 2 years, and I've got some Kumai builds that I want to do, and then I've got some brass versions of that I want to do, and then I got some fun patterns that I want to mess with, and it'd be a lot easier if I had a press. A press can do so much cool things with Damascus, and
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. But
Well, like I said in the beginning of the
yeah, I plan
podcast,
on.
right? When I was taking my classes, my teacher said, okay, if you're going to choose a power tool to make knives, go for the press before the hammer,
Yeah.
because as at least as he understands, you can do pretty much everything a hammer can with a press, and you can have all different kinds of dies for different kind of patterns, and a lot of things. And not only that, it's quieter, right? When we were talking on the phone, you mentioned that deep thumping noise of the power
Yeah.
hammer. There's only so many hours you're going to be able to work with and not bother the neighbors. Whereas a
Oh yeah.
press is just a low whirring noise, like yip 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 yip, and that's it.
It's quieter than your
Right,
two by
right, way
72.
quieter. So yeah, man. I mean, I think a press would be primo right there. You know, um,
Yeah, I agree, and that's the I would say that's the next big purchase for me, but it's not. The next big purchase for me is stuff that's focused around my class that I'm going to be doing. So I've got to get another 2x72. I've got to
another anvil.
do. I got to make sure I'm getting another anvil. And those costs are, each thing is well over
Yeah.
$1,000. So you gotta, before I can think about getting a press, I'm just gonna use the power hammer for while I can, and I'm gonna sell knives as much as I can, and uh, eventually get there to where I can get one. But uh, the classes that I'm going to teach don't really require a press. It more requires an anvil, 2x72s, the every once in a while use of my power hammer, but a lot of it's going to be doing stuff by hand, and so I don't have the need for the press. The press is a pure want
Right now, me too.
right now, but whenever I get into doing more Damascus and pushing my skill further, I'm gonna run into a point to where a press is gonna be something that I need for where I want to be in 5 years. I want to be doing your my custom builds. I want them to be mosaic Damascus, and I could always just build a press if I wanted to do that. And Steve Jennings, the guy who actually built the power hammer that I use, he built his press out of a log splitter, like so many other people have. And he, with that log splitter press, he did a basket weave feather Damascus. So basket weave mosaic, and then he feathered it. So he had to do basket weave mosaic, and then take that basket weave mosaic that most people would just leave in basket weave form because that's a cool looking mosaic. And then he split that. And his knife was actually shown in one of the YouTubers that goes around and films at Blade Show, a girl named Melissa, that does like EDCs and all that.
Like 8 million hits per 30-second little clip she puts out.
Yeah. And
Melissa.
Yes, no, that's no joke. Yeah. And she like reviews knives and stuff like that, but she showed his, and I had him show so many people that, because a lot of people were like, oh, that sounds kind of cool. Then he would show it to them and they'd be like, yep, that's pretty badass. Okay, that's awesome. And he did clear handles on it. So you can actually see the basket weave feather all the way from tip to the butt of the tank.
Oh, neat. Yeah,
And
that's pretty cool.
It's really cool. And he made his press out of a log splitter, and of course modified the heck out of it. And you saw the power hammer he built out of scraps. He works for a machine shop. He's got access to lathes and all kinds of stuff. So he's able to do a bunch of different things. But yeah, sure enough.
Well,
I think he's got like $1,000 invested in his press.
I must say we've learned a lot from the Rivers Experience tonight, and you can find them at theriversexperience.com. Our very own Eric, the knife maker Rivers, from the Rivers Experience will teach you the finer arts of knife making over at the Rivers Experience on YouTube or in the TR Workshop on Facebook. There's a group of us that regularly meet and chat and post and have a very good time because it's a very positive environment. It's a fun community with video instruction and online events, especially these days. Eric's got some live events where he's forging out knives from start to finish over a couple hours on YouTube, or you can go in and follow up on not only that, what other people are doing in the community. So find him at theriversexperience.com. You can find him at the Rivers Experience on YouTube, and you can find him at the TR Workshop on Facebook.
Yep, we're forging a sword tomorrow.
A sword?
A sword.
Yep, right. Because I sold my dang samurai challenge sword.
Did you really?
And I sold that at Blade Show, Texas, and I want another one. So I'm going to do another version of it.
You're going to make a sword? A sword?
A sword. And that's what we're forging on this live stream starting at 6:30 p.m. Central on Saturday.
All right. Well, all I will say is make sure you're taping up the end of that thing when it starts getting sharp. Don't walk into that booger. And I'm saying I was watching Kyle Royer fit some handles today. Go figure. Why am I watching people fit handles and guards on the knives? But I noticed that he's putting a nice big chunk of tape on the end of all of his blades so that he doesn't walk into them.
Because I have walked into
them. Yes, you have. Yes, you have. And you know what? There's another good grinder out there. As we're getting close to the end here, I just want to make sure that people know. Brian Houseward, his whole family's sick this week. He was going to be on the show tonight, but everybody's got a stomach virus at his house, and he says
it's something going around.
Says it's not a good time, but hey, you can support him by going to housemade.us. He's got 2x72 grinders, the old Revolution. He's got forges, the Apollo. He's got build plans, or you can buy parts, or you can just do about anything with this guy. As a matter of fact, he made the coolest anvil stand this week that's got a hydraulic lift on it or a screw lift or something, but he can lift up like 400 or 500 pounds and roll it across the floor and sit that sucker right back down, and it's very solid. The man is an innovator deluxe. Go out and visit housemade.us and see what he has to offer.
So he's also came up with another thing, which is absolutely awesome, and that is the 3x79 grinder. That thing is, I kind of want it. 3x79, and he's working with a belt company to provide the belt so that you can get them pretty easily.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it'll be a 3x79, and talk about hogging off some material and putting in work real fast.
Probably help you from getting dips and stuff in blades too when you've got that much surface area to pull a blade across.
Yep, and the only thing you got to do to make it a 2x72 is change the platen.
That's nice.
And boom,
That's
you're
nice.
set up to a 2x72.
That's nice right there. That's very nice. I like it a lot. I'm serious. I think I got in all of the, did I get everybody tonight? Well, heck, while we're at it, go to Hartzell Gun and Pawn and get you a nice gun. Or pawn the gun you got if it's a nice one, and I'll go in and buy it. So Hartzell Gun and Pawn. And we have our one guest, couple of guest knife makers waving at us tonight. Who do we have here with us, Eric?
We have Arlen and Tobias.
Well, I knew their names, but are they going to say hello for the podcast? They're just going to stick their tongues out.
Hi. Hello.
It's very nice to see you, young Little Rivers children. So it's a family show. Yep. It's a family show. Hey, Mark, what you got going on? Did you get any 220 into the garage yet, or you're all set up to do that through other plug?
So it's going to be a little bit of both, right? So I have an electrician coming on Monday because the last two just never showed. So I got to get to number 3 to see if they want to get paid.
Oh.
But the great news is I got this weird. I normally don't pick up calls on my cell phone unless they're in my contacts list because I got 1,000 robocalls. This one went to voicemail, and then they said something about somebody freight, and they left a number and a reference number. So I called them back, and so they said they have a large piece of freight to deliver to my house on Monday, and so I guess I'll see what that is, but I am hoping it is my my oven.
Well, did you think that maybe until you can get an electrician over there, if you just drive Lighty McCleanface over to the house, you can probably just tap into it and run that oven off of it?
I could. We have like a, I don't know, I think it's like a 440 quick charger or something that it's hooked up to. At the shop, so
just get you a step down. Get you a step down transformer, and you'll be fine.
That's right. It'll just heat up quicker.
Some say it might. It will heat up quicker once. Yes, you were exactly right.
That's right.
You're exactly right.
But no, so that's supposed to all be happening on Monday. So I got that going on, and see what else do I got. And so I did a little. On that Serbian cleaver, I got down and did a little spine file work on the first one I did. And the thing I'm happy about is that that's one of those things. The more you do it, the quicker it gets. The first knife I did that file work on, I don't know how many hours it took me because I was just trying to get it in the right spot, and I was real delicate. And I think I knocked this one out probably in probably less than a half hour. I got, probably about a half hour. I got all the file work done. And so that went a little bit quicker. And then, then I was like, hey, just making more blanks that I want to set up. So when I get the oven in, I could start just getting a whole, one heat and doing a heat treating a bunch of knives. So I did another cleaver template or a blank. And then I did a couple of those small mini hunters that I've been already doing. So, just getting a whole bunch of stuff lined up, kind of excited about that, that I could start, doing a little bit more production and getting some done, because same here is that, we have our fair share of gun and knife shows here and haven't paid attention as much as I should, but going to start going a little bit more and seeing what folks are selling there. And again, I was on the January episode, I was saying that, hey, before the end of the year, I want to start selling. So we'll see what the summer looks like. To sometime after Blade Show, we'll see how much tables cost at some of these local shows.
VMAX Custom Cutlery.
There you go.
That's right. VMAX Custom Work.
There you go. Well, this week, I guess I don't know if I've showed you guys this, and of course you guys can't see it on the air, but Yodacir can see it. So there's my template, or there was that's what got me to wanting to make an Yodacir knife. So there she is. And that's when I tell people this is what my knife is going to look like. I put my finger over the part where it says Pinto, and I sized it for my size, and then I made this little template.
Talk about fake knives.
Yeah. Then I made this little template so that I could cut it out, and then I've got, even though I may redo this a little bit, I've got my little guard shape here, and I've been playing around, and like even tonight I'm like, I know I can get this tighter. I'm going to heat this guard up one more time tomorrow and whack it real good on the top, because I can get it. It's not as far down as the other one. I think my whacker has been I've been focusing too low on the whacker and not up high enough. And I found the best whacker. I used I used an impact wrench.
I mean, so far with the whacker and everything,
hand gestures. I'm making a socket, and that worked okay, but it was too big. And then I used a piece of copper pipe, but it's too soft. So now I found I've got a little 10 or 20 ton jack, you can lift your cars up with. Well, it's got this flat edge on it, so you can loosen it and let the hydraulics go down. I'm like, that's perfect. As a matter of fact, I've got two sizes because one pipe fits in the other one. And I hit that today, and it was just beautiful. So I've had this jack for over 30 something years. So right now it's a who knows, maybe I've only used it probably 20 times in 30 years. I'll probably use the handles out of it a lot more now. So I'm going to give that knife another whack tomorrow. And Otis,
want to know what I use?
Yeah, go right ahead.
A piece of angle iron that I heated up, and I forged it into a U.
Yeah.
And it goes just down on the side of my tang, and it is like, it's nice and narrow as opposed to being a round tube or something like that. So it puts all the pressure.
Narrow is good, like right where it should be.
Yeah, it put right where it should be, and it was just a piece of angle iron that I had just sitting, and I just stuck in the forge, heated it up, and that's all I use to set my guards and stuff.
Well, my next purchase is going to be a welder, but one from Harbor Freight, because all I'll do is just tack steel together and build small things and stuff, or build things.
I got a plastic fantastic from Harbor Freight, and it works fine.
Right, and I'll spend $200 on that, which is fine. But I did see where I was watching the Lynn Ray video where he's heat setting a guard, and he actually has a piece of flat steel that's got a cutout in it on the bottom, larger than the guard. So it distributes that pressure evenly across the guard, so you don't get any curves or rolls or anything like that. Whether that's good or not, I haven't done that, but what I've got right now seems to be working pretty good.
Because when you hammer that thing there, you don't want to have any marks on the back of your guard where the handle material is going to meet.
Yes.
So,
and I do have
for
those
me,
little marks.
it doesn't matter because I'm going to surface grind that.
Yeah, I do have those marks, and I can't surface grind this anymore because I've got it as thin as it's going to need to go.
How thin it is? Because I've seen the pictures, and it looks a bit skinny. Not really, but
I think it was 1/4 inch when I had it, and now I'm down to about taking about 30%.
I would
off
start
of
with about 3/8.
3/8 is what I go for.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's probably around 3/8 right now.
The group?
No, 3/8. 3/8. No, it's not.
It's
It's not
I'm just
3/8.
kidding.
No. That's the other direction. It's larger than an eighth. It's less than a quarter. I'll put it that way.
So 3/16.
I haven't measured it, Eric. And my eye calibers are
Well,
whatever we call those.
It can still work. I mean, the knife I gave Eric when I met him at Blade Show, that is only a 1/4 inch of a guard. So, and I was still able to put that shape in there. So
it'll be just fine.
Yeah, this is going to be fun for my first knife. I had thought about remaking it, but I'm not because it's coming out well. I'm going to whack it one more time, and then I'm going to go ahead and move on to. I do like whacking that steel.
Yep.
So then I'm going to go on and I'm going to heat treat the blade, and then I'm going to sand it and then start on the handle and get this one done so I can start the next one. But I do want to say I've been taking my time as you guys working really slow, and work's been kind of crazy. So I've spent a lot of time just catching up at night on other things than that. Got to do taxes and all that kind of stuff. So I hope to get a little ways into this. And yeah, like I said, if the guard doesn't turn out just right like I want it, I've got enough steel, just cut out another one and make it, they get easier and easier. So kudos to you, Yodacir, for the guidance and the plans. And I'm going to make 2 or 3 like this, and then I'll, move on to something else a little different, or maybe I'll stick to these for a while. They're pretty cool knives. I did a lot of fleshers, so maybe I can do a lot of pintos.
You're doing good. I like this. I like what you're doing with this one. I mean, it's kind of a proven profile and everything. I mean, with Yodacir's style and all that. I think that you're going the right direction with this one. I'm interested to see what you do with the handle.
Me too.
And how you profile it in your way to kind of work with what he does. That'll be a fun learning curve for you, and figuring out how you're going to do your guard. I'm interested to see how this turns out.
I can't put a Trollsky handle on this knife. As far as the overall profile and shape, it wouldn't work on this knife. It wouldn't.
Sure, you could. You can do whatever you want.
You could, but
will it look good?
Right. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't fit this type of knife. This knife is going to take a little bit more of what I call gunsmithing. It's going to take that knife. That handle is just as much part of the knife as the. Well, it is with a Trollsky knife. It's going to take a more refined design. You just can't make take it out in the woods metal whacker kind of knife, or wood whacker. Now we're whacking wood in the forest with our knives.
Hey.
But we have been.
Yeah, but I'm going to start another one right after this, and I hope to have 2 or 3 of these to sell at the show in Hartselle, and out of my brown bag at Blade Show too. So.
What you should have, you should have one of mine in there as, okay, this is my teacher's knife right here.
Huh? Yeah.
Right? There you go. He does. He has the picture of it right there.
I took a Sharpie and I wrote Shegman over his name. No, I'm joking. Actually, I've told people, I said, this is a friend of mine, and he makes one of these a week. It seems when he gets on a roll, he's making one a week. And here I've been working on this one for, 4 weeks now, and just taking it really slow, not trying to rush anything. The next one will go twice as fast. But I've given Yodacir all the credit in the world, and I think Yodacir will probably be very honored with my attempt. And I'll show it to him at Blade Show this year. He may, pick it apart a little bit, but I think it's certainly a salute to Yodacir and his style. If I'm inspired to do it, Yodacir's holding his nose and swinging a mouse around. Does that mean you do that, Yodacir? And
it does. Him looking at it.
I won't buy you a $20.
He'll make sure and spit on it once.
Yeah. Hey, if he puts the spit of approval on it, I'll be happy. I'll have my rag. I've already got a rag. So anyway, that's what I got going on. Eric, you're making 11 knives to get caught up with your next one. You're doing some more. How are you? I haven't caught your lives broadcast because I've either been too tied up or there, and I'm typically in them. So when is your next one?
Well, you've been good.
Saturday.
It's tomorrow. You've been good so far. Yeah, the last weekend I didn't do one because I was at the Gun and Knife show, and I wasn't going to live stream around a bunch of people who were doing a gun sales and all that stuff because
I
we're
understand.
we're local boys doing local stuff.
Yeah.
And
you didn't need anything going out.
People don't want to be recorded.
Well, I'm sure Nisha has probably appreciated the break from me and my. I've got this. I think I'm funny. The rest of the world, not so much. But Nisha hasn't had to put up with my comments on Facebook trying to be funny guy. So.
Well, come and hang out tomorrow. I don't know if it's going to be I'm assuming it's going to be about a 2.5 hour. I'm going to start at 6:30, just because, forging a sword. I don't think it's going to take too incredibly long, but this is going to be me again forging a long piece of 5160, and I think it's going to be primarily getting the heat where I need to get the heat, because it's starting off. The piece of steel is already like 22 inches long. So it's going to be, I'm
it's a big piece of steel.
It's going to be a lot
there, Eric.
Yes, it is.
Whoa, I would never attempt to.
I'm going to whack the heck out of it.
I bet you will. Using those Two Bastards hammers. And Eric, where can people find Two Bastards hammers at?
So they do most of their stuff off of Facebook and Instagram. It's I think it's F&N Metalworks, Frank and Natalie.
I believe so.
So it's their Metalworks. If you just look up Two Bastards, two like the number TWO, Bastards Forge, you will actually be able to go and talk with them. The big difference between them and a lot of other people who make hammers is typically a lot of hammer makers do them in batches, and you only can get a hammer from them whenever they are doing hammers.
And I must say, Frank, you're supposed to be making me a hammer when you get caught up. So if you're listening to this show, I've still got my money in my wallet. There you go. Go ahead though.
It's one of those things where they are going to absolutely be able to make what you need to make. And the nice thing about them is if you already have a hammer that works, then they're going to suggest what you can actually do. And it's Nita, not Natalie. It's Nita. Frank and Nita.
Thank you.
I
need a hammer.
So if you tell them, well, I've got, he'll ask you, what hammers do you have? Well, I've got a rounding hammer and I've got a straight peen. Okay, so maybe you need a cross peen. And what weight do you typically swing? About this weight. Okay, so I can do one and this weight right here, and that's probably what you need. That is the type of guy Frank is, versus most people who make hammers are just going to go, well, I made 12 hammers, and these are the weights. You can get what is left.
There you go.
And that's pretty much it. Not everybody has a pocket hammer maker like Yodacir over here.
He's like,
yeah, I kind of want a rounding hammer this week, and I'm going to come over to your shop, and we're going to make a rounding hammer.
Right now, I'm looking to get me a straight peen, cross peen combo on a 5-pounder.
Yeah.
You're the man. You're the man.
I love.
Look, now I'm gonna give it to you, Eric. I was like, man, 5 pounds is gonna be a brute to work with. It's gonna be taxing on the body. It's gonna be, all these negative things. I was thinking about it. So, but let me give it a try. I'm gonna tell you, man. Once you start swinging that 5-pounder, them 2.5s are like, nope.
Yeah, you don't feel like you do anything. It sucks. You're sitting there swinging. You're going, why isn't this moving? And you swing a 5-pound at that bad boy, and you actually move some
absolutely.
things.
It's a world of difference, my friend. If you never tried, please do. You will thank us.
So that's
Hey, so
that's Two Bastards. You can find them at F&N
Metalworks
on Facebook and
or you can
Instagram, or look up Two Bastards.
Yeah, or you just look up Two Bastards. So it's F&N Metalworks / Two Bastards Texas. So by default, you can type in F&N Metalworks, or you can just type in Two Bastards. Same thing for Instagram, and you can message them on Instagram or Facebook and just say, hey, Knives Templar, they were talking about these. I kind of need a couple of suggestions. so and so uses this one, so and so uses that one. Is that something I might need, or this is the kind of things I want to work with or work on, and they will suggest what you need from that.
Well, we'll do this. You need to ask Frank if he wants a spot on this show as far as ongoing plug. So we enjoy his work and what he does. So I'll let you ask him if he wants that. Maybe he doesn't. I don't think he'll turn it down. But at least for another year, we're going to do unpaid sponsorships.
He absolutely will, and he will appreciate it.
Well,
he is in the description for every video that I do.
Then you find out what he wants us to say and get back with me on that.
I got
Rock and roll. Rock and roll. Yodacir, did you go bowling for buzz balls this week?
No.
Ooh.
I did not.
No. You haven't found the basketball size buzz ball at your local grocery store yet?
No. Ever since we started poo-pooing the buzz ball, I left it alone. You bullied me out of that, so I jumped into the peanut butter juice.
Okay, well that's good.
You can't go wrong with the peanut butter.
I'm past buzz balls. I'm into margaritas, but I think I'm gonna have to get some Jägermeister and just see what that has to offer, just to try it. To try it. Yodacir, are you making a knife this week?
No, I'm gonna take a quick break. I have 4 knives that I have to make sheaths to, so I gotta make a couple of sheaths, and
Happy 20th anniversary.
Yep, we're having a celebration tomorrow, so I will not be able to attend Eric's live. So priorities, I guess.
You tell your wife I said.
Hey, priorities, man.
You tell your wife I said she's got to be one special lady to put up with a hairless cat like you.
The thing is that y'all make fun of me. Pinto, lost his hair. I didn't lose my hair. It moved.
Oh, I've seen you with hair.
My hair moved, from
your back?
To my back.
Yeah. Well, you can get a face.
He just has he just has a very interesting mullet.
There you go.
Okay.
Yes. Well, you can get a facelift and get it pulled back
Mr.
up.
Clean in the front.
Yeah, get it pulled back up on your head with a
Bully
facelift.
man in the back.
All my hair moved, down inside of my t-shirt where it's cooler. So
yeah. I would say this. I've seen some pictures of you with hair, and you just look like another Joe. Not an ugly man. You just look like another Joe. You wouldn't be Yodacir with even one hair on your head. You're good looking. Brazilian panther slasher.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Oxtail eating, monkey meat loving.
It's okay, man. It's okay.
Laurel, Maryland.
Panther chasing.
Car failing dude. And with that being said, I do want to say, guys, questions or comments, product reviews, show and guest ideas, subscribe and email us at theknivestemplars@yahoo.com, or you can DM us on Facebook and the Knives Templars podcast group. Visit us at Knives Templars. Just always stay up to date. And like I said, knivestemplars.com. You'll find the latest and the greatest. Episodes are sponsored by our very own Eric, The Rivers Experience, Redeem Steel, knife-wood.com, Ameribraid, and their Templars 20 off parts and accessories. Majestic Forge. I don't think we mentioned them tonight. There we go. That's the one I missed. Go get you a forge at Majestic Forge. It's the forge I use. It's a wonderful forge. And you can get to see them at majesticforge.com. And also Byford's Gun. We did mention them. Pop's Knife Supplies over in Gainesville, Georgia. Maritime Knife Supply up there just across the Canadian border on the east side of the country. Housemade. And also Phoenix Abrasives and Templars 10 for 10% off your order at checkout. Broadback Ironworks, welcome guys, and Templars 10 off parts and accessories there. You can hear us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube Music, Anchor, Amazon, and CastBox, and Google Podcasts through June when they'll be shutting that service down. If you're on Google Podcasts, please switch to one of the others so that you stay up to date with us. List of resources, suggested materials, and local social media handles. I don't know why I said local. It's not local. It's just social media handles. Knives Templars Podcast on Facebook. That's where you'll find us. And always email us at theknivestemplars.com. I get ahead of myself reading sometimes, guys, getting all that stuff out there. And sometimes I just throw in a word that doesn't make sense. Sounded like the president last night. And with that, all I have to say is giggle, 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 and...
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
brought to you by Porkhouse Productions. Oinky, oinky, oinky.
And the pig said oink.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Mark.
I've an after show question.
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
Yes.
You were, it seemed like you were going to ask something when we were talking about the 5-pound hammers.
Yeah. So for those of us who are not ready to jump in and buy a hammer, Eric, do you have a video on any of like modifying Harbor Freight hammers or anything like that? Did you ever do videos on those?
So I haven't done a video of it, but I've been thinking about doing that because even Frank will tell you that if you don't have the budget to buy a hammer, to go and get a couple Harbor Freight hammers and actually do one that's a rounding hammer and one that's a straight.
How much are his hammers, by the way?
So they start off about $150, depending on whether you want the bluing, the gun bluing like I have on mine, where the facets are actually gun blued and darkened and then cleaned up and all that stuff.
My guy is $100.
That costs a little bit extra. Yeah, and it's about that pricing, but I mean it's kind of like the going rate for a lot of hammers. If you get the bigger ones like I have from Fire Creek Forge, those are a couple $100.
But also, Yodacir, you have to go to his shop to get your hammer,
no.
and we don't know what you're doing there while you go earn the hammer. So, $150 is a good starting price for a hammer. You just got a wonderful deal, and you already said your maker was kind of cuckoo. So hey.
No, that's not what I said. I said that he's very good at what he does, and he's got his own way of doing things. So,
but hey, if you have that hookup, that's a good hookup. That's not bad. A lot of people don't have that, and if he is offering hammers for $100 a go, we need to talk to him as well. So
right now he's offering 3.5 pounders as well. So it's a little intermediate weight in there.
That is a killer price.
Yeah. VMAX, I went to Harbor Freight and made a crossbeam and hammer, and it took me about 45 minutes to grind it out, starting out with a 36 grit, maybe a 24 grit I used on that one to start out with. And took it all the way down to 125, and then just kind of polished it up a little bit, and I faceted it. And can
you send me a picture?
I'll be more than happy to. Yeah, because what I did is their Harbor Freight hammers. I already had I bought their standard crossbeam. I made a straight peen. Excuse me. I bought their standard cross peen, and then I just rounded it off a little bit so it wasn't so sharp, and did a better job of pushing steel rather than just cutting into it, so to speak.
Yeah, but yes, I will be doing a video, a Shop Talk Tuesday on converting to. I think they're like 2.5 pounders, like their normal little mini sledge that they have. I think it's like 2.5 pound, 2.25 pounds. I am going to take and convert one of them into a rounding hammer, and then one of them into a straight peen cross peen on video, and do a lot of the stuff that Frank does to the hammers that he uses. So I am going to do that so that there is a video out there showing people what part of the wheels I'm using whenever I'm grinding it, and going up through the grits, and the reasoning behind the reasoning behind the radius that I do on the cross peen and straight peens, like the particular how tight that I make the radius of that cross peen and straight peen, and then all that stuff. So yeah, I'll have videos like that up. I'm probably going to do that one in 2 weeks.
And I will tell you, my straight peen hammer that I made is one of my favorite hammers now. It's flat and straight, and then I've got a rounding hammer already, so I can grab it when I need to, but it's one of my favorites. But that's an excellent question. And matter of fact, that earns a definite
oinky, oinky, oinky.
What do we say, guys?
Hasta la vista.
See y'all later.
Have a great night, everybody.
Good night, and the music can start now.